I'm Jim Brown, lead level designer from Epic Games, and you're watching Eurogamer.
What's up guys, Ian from Eurogamer here with another exclusive interview just for you. Recently Microsoft and Epic Games invited me to a hands-on preview event for Gears of War Judgement, where I not only got to try out a few levels from the campaign mode, but also a brand new multiplayer mode which has just been announced called Survival. Keep watching for more info and brand new gameplay footage of this mode in action coming up later on in the vid. But first, I asked Jim Brown, lead level designer from Epic Games, what makes Gears of War Judgement something more than just a simple copy and pasted reiteration of the previous 3 games.
When it came time to make the next Gears of War game, we didn't want to just make the next Gears of War game or make another Gears of War game. We really wanted to do something special and unique. So we took a step back, talked to our fans, talked to our community, and came up with what we think is a really, really great new experience in the Gears of War universe.
Kilo to control. Some grub riding a monster just wiped out every rifle at the museum.
So with Gears of War Judgment, you actually get to go back to experience Emergence Day. You get to see what it's like to destroy, or see cities as they're being destroyed. You get to fight with soldiers who are seeing the Locust for the very first time and kind of live that experience and in the intensity and darkness that goes all along with that.
The charges will be defined as I hear your testimony.
The story is really framed around the fact that you're being put on trial. You're sitting before a war tribunal, a court accused of war crimes, and each act of the game is structured such that one of the characters of the squad steps forward to give testimony. And then as they start to explain what happens, you as the player pick up the controls and get to live that experience and make it your own. The first section of the game is, of course, through Baird, who was a fan favorite of the franchise.
Baird here. Lieutenant Baird, actually.
Never really had his story told. Now you get to see why he is who he is and what's happened to him along the way. A second character in your squad is a new character named Sophia Hendricks.
She's pretty.
Pencils down, guns up!
And she is a cadet from the Onyx Guard, who is kind of the special forces of our world. And she's new to the battlefield. She's never been in combat before, but she is straight out of the academy, so she's very by the book and has that passion to get out and do things the right way. We also have Garen Paddock, who is actually an enemy soldier who's defected over to fight alongside the cog.
I wouldn't say that.
And he is kind of the extreme opposite of Sophia in that he is a grizzled war veteran, and he thinks that kind of rules are kind of silly and you should just do what needs doing in order to get things done. And then lastly, you have Cole, who is a longtime franchise favorite and best friend to Baird.
Oh, yeah!
And it's kind of interesting to see how he reacts and responds to Baird as a leader, because in this one Baird is a lieutenant, and how the three of them all kind of interact and tell the story of Baird, even though you're seeing the world through their eyes.
During the campaign, I had the chance to add extra objectives to my missions via a declassify option. What's that all about then?
As I mentioned before, the game is told as a series of testimony. And as you walk into those situations, it'll say, for example, hey, we ran across a caravan and we were supposed to save it, but it was destroyed, so we fought off the Locust. That's the official record. But as the player, you can then choose to declassify what actually happened there. And so using that same example, it would be, we got to the caravan and it was destroyed, and even though we weren't supposed to, we had to steal the enemy weapons because we were completely out of ammo. And so you get kind of this chance to see how they bent the rules. Even if their intentions were good, they bent the rules and got themselves in trouble to be put on this military tribunal. And then it introduces a new layer of challenge into the game. Every time that you as the player choose to declassify a testimony, you're introducing a new challenge, and there's dozens of different ways that it affects the game, from changing weapons to enemies to environmental conditions to all sorts of different things. And then the game rates kind of how you're doing. So when you get to the end of each chapter, you have from 0 to 3 stars, and then those stars are accumulate over time, and you can use them to unlock new things in the game. Ultimately, what you want is to collect 40 stars to unlock an entirely second campaign, which is called the Aftermath campaign, and it serves as an epilogue to the entire franchise as a whole.
That's right, Gears fans. Earn 40 stars and you get to play a brand new campaign set right at the end of the original trilogy, which is a rather cool way to bookend the whole series in one game. Now, you don't just earn stars by doing cool stuff in Judgment though, I also earned my fair share of prize boxes. What be they, Jimmo?
We need intel!
One of the ways that we chose to reward our players was to introduce this concept of prize boxes. And as I said, the game kind of keeps track of everything you're doing, both in single player as well as in multiplayer. And as you reach certain goals, you get a prize for doing that. Based on the difficulty of the challenge you've achieved, you get a rare or a common or even an epic rarity of box. What's in that box is random. We never know. It could be reward in the form of a multiplayer armor customization. It could be in the form of weapon customization. It could just be a giant bundle of experience points that adds to your level in the game. So each one is unique and each one is special, so you may have, again, a different experience than someone else. Even though you're both accumulating at the same rate, you never know what you're going to get inside the box.
Another way Epic have tried to add longevity to the Judgment experience is to introduce a new spawn system called S3. I asked Jim to explain what that actually meant for you guys, the players. This is brand new campaign footage playing right now, by the way. Looks ace, right?
One of the things that we wanted to really focus on this game was to put the experience in the hands of the players, to let them tell their own story and make that story unique to every person who's played it. So one of the ways we've done that is to introduce what we're calling S3, which is our smart spawn system. And basically what it does is it randomizes every encounter you're in, so that if you die and have to reload a checkpoint, if you come back after a break, if you decide to start a new game with a buddy and play co-op, each experience you have, each encounter is going to be different every time. You never know what's going to come out of a door, what weapons they're going to have, or even if they're going to come out of that door, because the game reacts and changes to the way that you're playing. So if you advance too quickly, an e-hole may spawn behind you or on your flank, and if you decide then, ooh, that didn't work, so I'm gonna go back and hide behind cover, well, this time they're gonna come from a completely different direction or introduce a squad of enemies that you hadn't seen before, and they'll bull rush your new location. And the characters in the world also react to those changes, so you may get a different line of dialogue or different series of lines of dialogue that really give you a different insight into the world than you got the previous time, or that one of your co-op buddies had. So each encounter and each experience is brand new every time you come back.
You can't walk that off!
So finally, survival mode, the new mode. What is it and what can we do with it?
When we went to go do our multiplayer, we have our traditional TDM, we have a new free-for-all mode, and we have our team-based domination mode. But what we really wanted to do was kind of add something and innovate to the shooter space, so we came up with a new mode called Overrun, which for the first time lets you play as a class-based shooter in the Gears franchise. But Gears has always been a co-op game at its heart. And in the first Gears, we had the co-op campaign. In the second game, we introduced Horde mode. Gears of War 3 introduced Beast mode. And so with Gears of War Judgment, our new co-op mode kind of layers elements of all of those on top of that class-based structure from Overrun to give you a new mode called Survival, where you can play online with your friends in a group of 5 in a class-based mode, defending objectives against waves of enemies. And each wave that comes in is going to be a little bit longer, a little bit more difficult, and introduce some brand new, more challenging enemies.
So basically it's a mishmash of all of Epic's favourite multiplayer elements in one mode, and it is very fun, especially when your teammates start shouting about their e-hole being under attack. Seriously, that didn't stop being funny for literally like the whole time I played it. With 4 classes to choose from, including the medic who throws out health grenades, the soldier who throws out ammos, the sniper who throws detection grenades which locate the locust enemy, and the mechanic who, armed with a repair tool, fixes mounted weapons and barriers. Each team member has a valuable role in supporting each other and protecting their vulnerable e-holes. Just like Call of Duty, the Gears franchise knows its fans. It knows what works, it knows how to pull off what it does well, and it knows that sometimes too drastic a change can be a bad thing for the hardcore fan base. Sure, deep down, Judgement isn't majorly different from the other Gears games, but there's been just enough new content added and just enough extra tweaks to make sure the gameplay is compelling enough for another journey back to Sarah. Don't believe me? Well, make sure you click the annotation on the screen to subscribe to Eurogamer, because I'll be live streaming some Gears of War Judgement survival mode as close to release as possible, and then you'll be able to see it in action and judge for yourself.
Get ready to move, Kilo!